Welcome to the I-80 Club Saturday morning coffee show. Josh Peterson, Jack Mitchell. Jack, I feel like you and I always have the exact same coffee mugs.
I always get my same one.
Saturday.
I always get my same one to represent my alma mater, but imagine if your logo was here.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Look at you.
Or here.
Wow, it's turning into crap. What's the movie called? Wayne's World, where they're like, "Oh, look, new yellow, different."
I just don't think selling out is the way to. Yeah, little yellow, different, Nuprin. That's a great movie scene.
It is a great movie scene. Josh Peterson, Jack Mitchell with you. We appreciate you joining us on this Saturday morning. If you're hanging out for the first time, we would implore you to like and subscribe to the I-80 Club on our YouTube channel. That would be very much appreciated. You can do so today. Like and subscribe to the I-80 Club on YouTube. The podcast feed is available. Jack, there's a free feed, of course, that you can subscribe to. There are ads in that feed, so if you would like an ad-free experience from us, you can do so at patreon.com/I80 Club. So we're available there. We do what, Jack? I was looking at our Patreon the other day and the promises that we make to subscribers. I think we say we do 8 episodes a month, which is a hilariously low number. We're damn near doing 8 a week at times, especially as we get closer and closer to the football season.
Right. Wait till we get to a football season, and then even counting volleyball state. And the I-80 football show, which is going to be a regular thing during the season. Fingers crossed, National Fun League.
Yes.
Become a regular part. Again, somebody who wants to adopt it, let us know. If it gets a sponsor, we'll make it full time.
There you go.
You'll make it full time. I won't do
I was going to say, you have nothing to do with that. But you have stuff to do with the basketball content that we do, which you love doing post-game shows. Say post-game shows are my lifeblood, especially after losses to Iowa. You're a huge fan of those.
Yes. If we can, we would like to bring those things back, but we may need to, we are actively looking for sponsors for some of those things to make them possible. So we're growing. It's exciting.
How about this from Dave? Dave Fight. Things I learned yesterday. Mentioning Volleyball State at Alumni Hall gets us a merch discount. It does.
Yeah. Do people not know that? Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're the new presenting sponsor. They have been since the beginning of the month, so we appreciate Alumni Hall for helping out Jeff and Lincoln as they get very close to volleyball season starting. They had a new episode go up earlier this week, Jack, as they started their conference previews. They did 3 leagues in that one and still the Big Ten and, of course, Nebraska to come, and they will be blowing things out in a way that they never have this volleyball season. And as Jack said, we're getting close. We're getting excited. We've been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes as of late. Yes, Jack has been doing many typings. Speaking of things, Jack, that we've been doing behind the scenes, one of the things that we did at the beginning of the year is now almost reached an end. Groin Kick Chronicles episode with games 20 through 11 came out on Thursday, which means, Jack, we have 10 games to go inside of the Chronicles.
Ooh! I like
games to go. Which game will be number one? Which game is your number one? If spoiler alert, I guess, if you haven't listened to the most recent episode, but the 2018 Colorado and Northwestern games, 2019 Colorado, 2021 Michigan State and Iowa, 2022 Wisconsin, a Mickey Joseph loss, 2023 Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Iowa, and 2024 Iowa, all inside of the top 10, and we will be doling those games out, Jack, over the course of 2 episodes. 10 through 6 drops on Thursday, 5 through 1 the following Thursday, and then an epilogue the Thursday after that. And then it's done, and then football season is here. So it's exciting and sad all at the same time.
No, it's exciting. Listen, the idea is to get it out of our system, be done, and then we start the next chapter, the next era, right? The groin caress era. The Groin Caress Chronicles.
I like
it. Which we've got coming up next. I want to just real quick, because I listed mine.
Yes.
I want to just cross-reference and see how many of mine actually made the top 10, because I put mine out. I put mine out publicly on our thing, if I can find it. Oh God, I gotta scroll so far up.
Awesome, great content.
Never gonna find it. Forget it. I will never find this.
All right. Well, that was
impossible. There's no way you can. Oh, I got it. I found it. My top 10. All right.
Here, I'll put the graphic back on the screen now.
So my 10, I'm going from 10 to 1. I went back and forth on a lot of these. My number 10 is, this is for me personally, not what
and hey, let's be careful, Jack, because I worry that you're a terrible actor. So please try not to spoil anything,
Josh,
that is about to happen.
You know what else will mitigate that? I also have a terrible short-term memory. And therefore, I remember where one of these is. I remember of that list, I know where one of them is.
Okay, good. Good. All right. Number 10 for you.
My number 10 is 2023 Wisconsin.
That game is in the top 10. All right, so we're off to a good start.
My number 9 is 2015 Wisconsin.
That game not on the list. That one we just did in the most recent episode.
My number 8 is 2016 Wisconsin.
Also, that was number 11? That was the most recent game that we discussed.
My number 7 is 2023 Minnesota.
That's on the list.
My number 6 is 2021 Michigan, and this is the downfall of the entire formula and list.
That is the one that has triggered the most people. That game was ranked 24th. Yeah, that game was ranked 24th.
I got it 6, and 6 is, I might have even moved it down to just try to make our list look more legit, but 6.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay.
Number 5, I have 2021 Michigan State.
That's in there.
For me. Number 4, I have 2019 Colorado.
In there.
All right. Number 3, I have 2019 Iowa.
Not in there.
Ridiculous.
Nice. That was in our most recent episode.
Absolutely ridiculous. Number 2, I have 2024 Iowa.
Yep, that's in there.
And number 1, I have 2023 Iowa.
So you did not mention, let me just make sure I got this right. You did not mention 2018 Northwestern.
Yeah,
is in here.
I don't know what I don't even have that in my top 20.
Okay. You didn't mention did you mention Michigan State?
2021, yeah.
You mentioned that? Did you mention 2021 Iowa?
2021 Iowa would be my number 11, I decided.
Whoa, that is
it's in my
so many people have that as their number 1.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just that it wasn't for a bowl. I think that's...
You don't have 2023. You did have 23 Iowa in there?
That's my number 1 overall.
That was your number 1 overall.
2023 Iowa.
Did you miss one of the Colorado games? Is that what I'm forgetting right now?
Let me say it again. 23 Iowa. This is 1 through 10 for me. 23 Iowa, 24 Iowa, 19 Iowa, 19 Colorado, 21 Michigan State, 21 Michigan, 23 Minnesota, 16 Wisconsin, 15 Wisconsin, 23 Wisconsin.
Okay. So 2018 Colorado.
I don't have 2018 Colorado. I don't know if I'd have that in my top 30.
Well, that's what the math says, Jack. It's inside of the top 10.
I don't think I would have it on the top half. I felt kind of good after. I felt good and angry at Colorado after that game.
That is not true. Let me find the obligatory Jack Mitchell tweet from that game. There's no way in hell.
That was not a groin kick. I mean, it was, but not.
What are you talking about? It wasn't a groin kick.
This is the Adrian Martinez hurt game in Lincoln.
Yes.
Scott Frost.
Yes. All right. Well, let's see.
Not in my top 20 for sure.
The obligatory Jack Mitchell tweet was they had chance after chance to win that game. That's not that good of a tweet. But on the graphic, Jack, on the graphic that I don't have uploaded in the system, the tweet in the very middle of the whole Groin Kick Chronicles graphic is a tweet from you from that game when you said, I was told I wasn't going to have these feelings anymore. So I call bullshit on that game not hurting you as much as you're saying it hurt you at the time.
All right.
Well. D'Lo says, we need a 2018 rewatch. Josh, stay tuned, perhaps, as we do bonus Be Kind Husker Rewind episodes over the next few weeks. So we'll be doing those. If you want to check all the stuff out, we are kicking it off, Jack, our pain rewatch with 2023 Minnesota. That is coming up Wednesday exclusively for subscribers at patreon.com/I80 Club. We would love to have you. I did want to read a couple of comments because D'Lo earlier said Jack as well, and I'm reading this because it compliments us. Really cool to see how this all has grown. Josh, I could not agree with you more, man. It has been quite the ride.
D'Lo right again.
Yep, classic Jack and D'Lo shaking hand meme. Connor says, spoilers, all are tied for number 1. Pretty interesting that you didn't have 3 games in your top 10. In the Colorado game, you said you'd have in the 20s or whatever it was. Wow, that's absolutely
maybe wild. Not even in the top half.
Wow. All right, cool. So that's what we have coming up over the course of the next few weeks. We'll have a lot of stuff leading into the start of football season. Stay tuned for details on football season. But as Jack said, the I-80 football show will be ramping up as well, and that will be weekly during the football season on Thursday mornings.
And in all seriousness, if it wasn't clear, we're starting to ramp up our sponsorship efforts for the fall and the winter.
For For the record, I don't want to wear a logo on a hat, but if that's what Jack wants to do,
I 100% will.
I don't want to wear
Josh,
a logo on a hat.
Whatever you will be wearing.
We have Canva. We can put graphics on the Canva.
I will wear.
I'm not a golfer.
I will put it on a mug. I'll drink a beverage or eat a food you want me to eat. Whatever it is for your product placement. It would be great. Josh, I don't know how to say this, but whatever logo you wore and whatever hat you wore would be better than whatever the hell you are wearing on your head.
This is unreal that you don't like the 90s motif.
What? I can't even
look at that.
That hat looks like one of those things you would do as a kid, like find 50 things wrong with this picture.
No, it does not.
So many things wrong with that hat. I don't even know where to start.
It's insane because you and John Bishop were now you were younger in the 90s than John was, but you guys grew up in the era of life that so many of us look back and say that was the last time that things were good and normal, you know? And you're like, nah, I don't like the look of that type of stuff. I'd rather wear cargo shorts that go down to mid. This
is the 90s that I know. This is the 90s. Now the style itself isn't. This logo is the style of the 90s that I. That's what like grandparents wore in the 90s, Josh. I don't know what to tell you.
They did.
Like,
football players on the sideline.
They had to. They had a contract. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. That's
unreal.
Listen,
absolutely.
It's fine if you and your friends think that's cool, but
Fight says Josh Peterson here for the delicious taste of Valentino's. I can promise you this: we will not be sponsored by Valentino's unless it's on one of the basketball pods that I'm not on. I ain't doing that shit. I'm not saying anything nice about Valentino's.
What in the hell are you doing? I will fight back with Josh whenever he says that as part of the sponsorship.
Perfect.
I will actively fight for you, Valentino.
Travis writes,
I already do for free.
Are you going to plug future losses? I know there'll be very few into the formula so we can see where they stand instantly. Sometimes I think at the moment most losses feel like a groin kick, but not every loss is a top 10 groin kick. Absolutely we will. Shout out to our friends that have helped us out behind the scenes. I imagine every time Nebraska loses, Stumanji will scrub the internet for all of the stats that we need. We will insert all sorts of stuff into the formula, and we'll be able to say, wow, this actually would have been 38th on the list if we would have included it. So, yes, moving forward, I plan on every loss being, plugged into some formula just so we can figure out where it would rank.
We should make a formula so any team, any loss can plug their game in and get like a letter grade. For how bad, I mean, it won't make sense for how it's rated or a number rating for the groin kick factor, the Nebraska groin kick factor to compare it to Nebraska's biggest groin kicks. I love that. I love that. How much is it compared to number one, right? Just it gives you a number and then you say, this is where Nebraska's number one was during the era. This is where their 10 was. Yours would have finished 63rd. You're not in that much pain.
And then obviously, there's a world where maybe we do a mini series, Jack, and we look back at previous eras of brutal losses. We went down a weird rabbit hole with you and John yesterday on Unsportsmanlike Conduct where we talked about the 80s for like 20 minutes, talking about the horrible, horrible losses from the 80s. And so, maybe there's a world where we do that. Maybe we talk about some of the absolute horrible Texas losses, for example. Who knows? We have the world is our oyster. The summer content machine will go on in 2026.
Oh, for sure. And it won't always deal with losses. I mean, I would like to see us put together like
groin massage rankings,
the groin caress rankings, like a formula for that, where we debate what was the better win, right? What was the better win, 1992 Colorado or 1994 Colorado or something like that,
Great question. That's a fun topic. So maybe we'll be happy. How about
it's not just negativity with us. Don't believe the internet.
No. It's not negativity with us. It's negativity only with D-Lo, though, who says I might be a primary sponsor if we finally do a 1986 Oklahoma rewatch.
Right. We will do that next summer. I have a planned project that is focused around that game. I don't know how to say it any clearer. And yes, I will hit you up to be a sponsor. Yes.
There you go. Thank you. All right. So stay tuned for that. All right, Jack, we've talked enough about the Chronicles. We've talked enough about how you want Valentino's to be a sponsor.
About your terrible hat.
Great hat. Many are saying. Thank you to my parents for buying this for me.
Thing at the top. What is that peak at the top?
What are you talking about? That's just the hat
thing. No, there's
there, like that. It's just the hat, Jack. It's just the hat. Would you settle down?
Are you wearing that on the camera for our thing this afternoon?
Unreal. I wasn't planning on it, but you know what? Now I think I might. Maybe I will.
It's good. We're gonna have to expand the screen for the peak of that hat. Good Lord.
Excellent. Jack, this is the first time that we have had a chance to actually talk about what went down earlier this week in Vegas, because we spent, as I mentioned yesterday, 30 minutes talking about the 1980s.
Yeah.
And then on Wednesday's show, we did a story time about horrible groin kick losses, so we've really leaned into the negativity as of late. All these days later, anything stand out to you about Matt Rhule, Dylan Raiola, and the rest of the crew in sunny, hot Las Vegas?
I don't know that a lot does about what the player said, and maybe I didn't even see all of it, but I had kind of an overall thought. It was interesting, Josh. The whole thing kicks off, and what is the topic right after Matt Rhule talks on his side session? It's about Scott Frost.
I know.
Like, oh my, I'm like, we didn't do this. This is not. Stipple asked him didn't Stipple ask him the question?
It was Stipple.
Wow,
yeah.
Sad. Very sad that certain
Leaning
members
into
of the media can't
Yep.
focus on the future.
Mm-hmm.
Very sad. I'm sure he got ample blowback online for asking that question.
Negative Steve Sipple.
But the thing I thought about that was most interesting about the answer was not the part about Frost. It was the part about Rhule talking about when he got here and what kind of garbage shape everything was in, sort of in the way he described it, from infrastructure, from physical infrastructure to the NIL infrastructure to nutrition to everything like that. Because would we have thought that about those things when he came in? I wouldn't have, at least. Not that I'm right, but I hadn't really thought of it that way. Did you?
No, like in terms of the infrastructure being poor?
Yeah, both physical and sort of theoretical or infrastructure, both.
No, but Jack, like if you and I, and maybe there's a podcast that you and I recorded in December of 2022, somewhere deep in the archives, like I bet you and I would have said something like they need to learn how to win. Some variation of it's all mental with this program right now. Like, and I mean, they were in the midst at the time of building the shiny new facility that is, now in the northeast corner of Memorial Stadium.
Josh, let me be clear. Nobody would have said that at that time.
No,
like none of us, and certainly nobody would have characterized it coming in like Matt Rhule. That's not me saying he's wrong.
Yeah,
that's
or the
me
things
saying,
were perfect.
That's me saying I wonder if we underestimated how many problems that there were.
Now, so like I feel like there's two kind of discussions in here, two distinct discussions. There is the like on the field, were they recruiting well enough, coaching well enough? Like obviously they weren't coaching well enough. They were recruiting well enough to be better than 3-9 and 4-8. Like we would all agree with that. Were they recruiting good enough to, be an upper half, contender for the playoff? Probably not. But they were certainly better, they were recruiting better than their record showed. But the part that I found most interesting, and I think I have one of this quotes written down. Yes, I do. We're going to win because of Tom Peed. We're going to win because of Sean Peed. If the Peeds don't do what they did at 1890 and the investments they've made this spring, we're dead. We're dead. That was the part that I came away, interested in maybe more than the other stuff, just because there were a lot of rumors and reports and I don't know, just general conversations that the NIL aspect of Nebraska football was really struggling at the end of the Scott Frost era. So that was one part that he said where I was like, very interesting and kind of not surprised that he would say those types of things.
Yeah, I don't claim to have a lot of knowledge about what that situation was, but you're right. Yeah, it was incredibly, and does it feel like, here's an interesting question. Does it feel like recruiting? I mean, you got Dylan Raiola, obviously, but even setting that aside, does it feel like recruiting generally is at a way different level now, if, with the NIL in a better place than it was then? Was that one of the things that we said? I just don't remember that as a major critique. Maybe it was of the kind of the Frost era. There have been plenty of them. The recruiting and the recruiting infrastructure was enough to snuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's funny because the numbers say that they were recruiting fine. Like there was no like, oh my gosh, they're finishing 80th. What?
Mm-hmm. No, I muted that. Sorry, I was trying to turn something on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No,
Say that.
Yeah. They I don't recall there being like a horrible. Yeah, like Josh says it. Look at the rankings.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
They look fine. Now, there is certainly a discussion to be had, though, of like, were they the right fit for Nebraska football? Was that stuff happening? And that seems to be a big old no. But, Jack, I mean, we remember it. What happened at the end of the Frost era in terms of recruiting? Dylan Raiola and Dylan Raiola's recruitment, and a lot of stories that surrounded Dylan Raiola's recruitment and frustration from Dominic Raiola about how they were handling things, and Trev Alberts in 1890 and some of their disagreements and how those things were working or not working well together. And like to spin it forward, I mean, you look at Troy Dannon, I think that they have done a really great job of making sure that relationship has worked much better than what it was, a few years ago, which is, dude, like, remember how Barry Switzer would always say, like, the lifeblood of college football is, it's not the X's and O's, it's the Jimmys and Joes. Like, now the lifeblood of college football, or is a collective, and we'll see what it looks like moving forward. So that's the one part that he said that I definitely nodded my head in agreement and wondered, how bad was it at the end of the previous regime? It wouldn't surprise me if it was really, really bad at the end of the previous regime.
Yeah, I mean, but Frost got Ty Robinson, right? Frost got Adrian Martinez. Frost got Cam Jurgens.
Hell, they got Trey Palmer on that one. At
Trey
the end.
Palmer. Yeah, got Trey Palmer. There's probably a whole list of guys like this that we could mention that you would still consider recruiting successes.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's it. I don't know enough again about all of the background of what's going on with NIL. Other than that, their donors weren't that happy then, and they are now, essentially, or they're contributing now for whatever reason. But there's also more of a need for that now than there was in 2022, to be honest. In 2021, that's jumped up a lot in the last 3 years. A player now is going to cost you more than it did at that point. So
a player now is going to cost you more than it did 5 months ago.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know what to think about that whole situation, but it is an interesting, just overall concept to me that Rhule came into a situation that is worse than we realized on a number of fronts. And there were some things we did realize, like we've already said, but I do wonder if there are things that we just assumed were better than they are in terms of getting good right away. Because the critique has been of Rhule, right? It takes it looks like it's going to take 3 years. Signetti came in and did it right away. Well, is one of the reasons for that because of the situation that he came into versus
in terms of like you're talking about, like kind of like relationship wise with the
whatever he was referring to,
the NIL stuff. It's a really
NIL,
interesting question.
The infrastructure, all of everything that he referred to. Did he come into a situation that was worse, whatever that means exactly, than coaches who have had more success right away? And we should have been more aware of that. I don't know the answer. I'm just asking the question now.
Husker Bramu says, I don't buy Rhule's line at all. Is the job better today than when he took it? I doubt that. If it's better, it's marginal. That's interesting. I mean, I definitely think I think the program is in a better place today than they were then. But I think a large portion of that is just everyone kind of rowing in the same direction today versus the end of the Scott Frost era.
I don't think that's what he was talking about. I agree. I mean, I agree with that part of it, but
you don't think that's what Rhule was talking about?
He was talking about the condition of the turf and the nutrition and the NIL and physical infrastructure.
I mean, NIL is, I would put that in the rowing in the same direction boat.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, if you throw that part out.
Sam agrees with Husker from you. It's not. Wow, interesting. I guess, am I an idiot for not thinking the job is a better job than it was a couple of years ago?
It feels similar to me. I mean, it feels like it's evolved as the game has, and they've done a good job at evolving the things that they have to, I think. I mean, I think first of all, let's back up a little bit to what I think he was referring to. He wasn't critiquing Scott Frost or Trev Alberts. He was critiquing what Trev Alberts walked into. Like, this was a critique, I mean, essentially a Bill Moose is how I read it. That Moose let a whole bunch of things go to hell. Yeah. And Trev had gotten there. And I think, listen, this is my theory on it. I think Trev kind of sold that to Rhule, to be honest. That's what it sounds like to me. Because at one point I was like, wait, is he crapping on Trev? And then he referenced Trev multiple times. And he was kind of referencing sort of a strategy looking forward at multiple levels, on a financial level, at a physical infrastructure level, at a donor level, all of these things that he acted like weren't really, it sounded to me like he was saying these strategies weren't in place until Trev got there. And so we were just at the beginning phase of Trev doing those things when I got there. And it sounded like Trev kind of sold that to him, to be honest.
A couple comments. Husker from you says, and we're reading, by the way, comments. If you would like to comment, we read them from our Discord server, and you can subscribe today at patreon.com/IED Club or hook us up with a super chat on YouTube. Husker from you says, would the job garner more interest if it was open today than in 2022? Not much. That's an interesting viewpoint. That's a good call. That's the best argument for if the job is better or not than it was a couple of years ago. You know, I think that's a legit, and really good question.
Like, if you asked me that before he said that, I would have said it's about the same. Yeah. Whether I'm right or wrong, that would have been my thought.
What do you think of what Fight says? He says Rhule's made it a better job aside from infrastructure. Fan expectations are more in check, and there are definitely concepts of a plan in motion. Do you think the fan expectations are more in check?
Then the whole Frost thing, as we've talked tons about, it was weird. It was just this sort of kind of, because he was the part of the family, that screwed everything up. But I don't know that like after he left that was still him. I don't think it's changed from day one Rhule is hired to day one today. I don't think I would think they're the same. What do you think?
I mean, I don't. So
let's say he was gone after next year for whatever reason, okay, and you're hiring someone new in 2026. Yeah. Is that materially different in terms of fan expectations than they were in 2023?
Well, so I found the expectations question really interesting lately. So like John and I are going to post our, we do the 4-phase poll question of what's your record expectation, and so we're doing phase 3 tomorrow since training camp starts on Monday, and I guess, Jack, when I listen to subscribers in the club, when I listen to listeners of my radio show, I don't really sense a ton of optimism and excitement in terms of like the 9-10 win stuff. I don't sense any of that. I sense a lot of, I think they're going to be solid and I think they're going to be better, but they'll probably be 6-6 to 8-4. That's what I sense from people. Mm-hmm. And then we put out these poll questions and it's always skews way on the other end. It skews into the 8-9-10 win stuff. I've had this question lately of what do people think of Dylan Raiola in year 2? Because this is what I have sensed. I've sensed tepid optimism for him. Just like, hopefully he's better, but I don't know. Not like he's going to have a breakthrough. So I asked a question the other day. Hey, what best describes your feelings on what Dylan Raiola is going to do in year 2? And it was like massive jump. So, is better, but not a massive jump, pretty much the same or regresses. It was like 90% were in the jump to big jump category. It was like 45% said big jump. But here's the thing, Jack, and the way I described it to John the other day was like the silent majority. I don't hear from these people. I have not had one conversation this offseason, I feel like, with someone who's like, I'm bullish on Dylan, 35 touchdowns, 3,500 yards. He's going to take a big step forward. I don't hear from any of these people, and yet they obviously exist. So that's a long-winded way of saying I don't think that the expectations seem out of whack, but then we do a poll question. I'm like, wow, okay, people are way more optimism than I thought they were.
Maybe the issue you're identifying is people respond differently to verbal questions than they do to online polls.
Right. If you just get to click a button, but you don't have to talk about it, it's a lot easier to be optimistic,
Yeah. It's like kind of the onlineification of everything, right? Mm-hmm. But once somebody calls you out or wants a rationale from you, you back down. Mm-hmm. AKA Jakory Barney supporter fan troll account who's scared of me now.
Nice. Oh yeah, I forgot about that guy.
I'm your troll.
Just tweeted at him like 1,000 times.
Have you enjoyed your nightmares about me? I'll be back.
I'm guessing if somebody just probably muted you.
I bet Dave points out engaged.
Dave points out that, and I saw this video, Robby went game by game and ended up at 10-2. Robby has turned into the most positive of positive boys since I stopped doing stuff with him on a regular basis. Maybe it was me that was bringing Robby into negative town.
I don't know. Yeah, there's a few people who are like that. Schaefer always, I don't know what he seems to be this year, but
he's not now. He is very much in the they have let me down, and I am not going to pick them to do well until they actually do it. Okay. I think he's in like the 6-6 or 7-5 camp.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm to the point that I don't believe my own thoughts, so it doesn't matter.
Well, that's a bummer.
It's fine. My thoughts have been wrong so many times. I now give them the scrutiny they deserve, which is not treating them like gospel truth or that I even buy into them. I can tell you what they are, but I don't know that I buy into them. I can't. My thoughts and my belief in them are two different things.
Yeah. So where would you vote on the poll question on Monday or tomorrow, I guess?
Which being what? What is it? Tell me what the.
It's 8-4 better, 6-6, 7-5, 4-8, 5. Obviously, you're not going to go into negative town. So are you a 6-6 or 7-5 guy, or are you the 8-4 or better guy?
Well, I think it's between 7 and 8, so it's hard.
That's why the poll question is awesome.
I mean, probably 8-4. I'd vote for 8-4.
8-4. So you'd be in the 8-4 or better crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to vote for the 6-6 or 7-5.
But I'm not saying I'm saying I think that, but I don't know if I believe that.
Okay, well, let me ask you this then, Jack, because I asked this of John yesterday. We discussed it for a little bit, but I plan on asking it of you, and then we talked about 1986 Nebraska, Oklahoma for 20 minutes. What do we definitively know about the team? And I open this up to the room as well. Camp starts in 2 days. What do we actually know about them? Because I was listening to Godfrey and Bill Connolly this week, and they were just talking about college football at large and how little they know about rosters now because
that's a great point.
Waves arms around, right? How college football is. But it got me going of like, okay, if I did this exercise about Nebraska football, what things do I know definitively? And it can be positive or negative. What do we know definitively about the 2025 team?
Okay. Dylan Raiola has a high ceiling, but we don't know if he can reach it. But we know that he has that.
So even the definitive there is like still kind of a question mark.
Yeah, I mean, we went through this before. Like, what players? We did this whole exercise before where we're like, what players are we very confident in who they are and how they will contribute full time? And it's a very small list, right? And it's guys because so many of, in my opinion, what will determine whether or not this year is a success is those guys who have either played part-time or had success elsewhere if they have full-time extensive success here. And who am I talking about? Willis McGahee Jr., Vincent Shavers, Van Poppel, the transfer Spindler, okay, Key, Heinrich Harburg at tight end. I mean, you can go on and on with those are the guys who are going to determine. Jerry Jeudy are going to determine, like, we think we can do it. We've seen them do it a little. They haven't been thrust into this role here ever. There's a huge group of those guys. There are so few guys where it's like, I've seen them in their role that they're at here, having done that for a long time, and I know what they're going to do. Honestly, who's that? Really, the defensive backfield. That's who that is. Okay. I mean, all of them almost to some degree. Sierra Wright, and especially Buford, right? Especially Malcolm Hartzog, especially what's his name? He went to media days too. I'm having a brain fart. Number 8, Singleton. Those guys and Emtt Johnson. Although we even kind of think with him, he may be able to do something we haven't seen before.
We've had a million conversations about him because I was thinking about that question, Jack, with him, and I was like, I don't know if I can definitively say anything about EJ, even though I like him, but mainly it's because he's. Where you and I are excited about him is based on a 4-game sample size. So it's not based off of a 12-game sample size.
Well, it just gets back to, and this is the case with a lot of teams, as you pointed out, but how many players do you feel like you know who they are in terms of being a full-time contributor? And outside of the defensive backfield, I can't think of many.
Can I talk you into, and I spent a good chunk of my morning yesterday watching Dane Key highlights.
Yeah.
Could I talk you into Dane Key being a sure thing, or are you like, is that scary because he's a transfer?
Let me say, so I grouped in, fairly or unfairly, transfers in saying we haven't seen this person do it here. And the reason I did that is largely because of the transfers last year.
No, 100%. And so that's why I asked the question, because last year, July 26th, if you and I were doing a podcast, we were talking about Jamal Banks as like this obvious sure thing, right? And That's why I'm see, and D'Lo, oh boy, man, I hope so. But those Banks highlights a year ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Dave Fight, non-trolling question. Is Dane Key more of a sure thing than Banks or Nair? All right. I will present the case. And Bruce points it out, but only 2 touchdowns, Josh. He did only have 2 touchdowns. I'm going to post it. I implore people. Let me find the video. Because it's like 12 minutes.
While you're doing this, let me just fully explain. Yeah. Again, I would group, it's a group of people at Nebraska who haven't contributed full-time consistently, even though they've had bright spots, and people who have done it, but have done it elsewhere. And so it goes back to what you were saying about the rosters generally, right? People don't feel like they know exactly when you plug a transfer in. It's less of a sure thing. I'll just say that. It's less of a sure thing than when you did it at the place you are.
100%. 100%. All right. So I just posted it. Don't watch it now because Jack and I are doing a podcast. It's 12 minutes long. Jack, I watched this because I realized at some point over the last week, I realized, you know what? I haven't watched Key or Hunter stuff since they committed. So it's been months.
We should be.
Yes. So I was, and honestly, I'm getting to the point now where I want to start rewatching chunks of games. And I don't think Matt's in here today, but shout out to McMaster because he's been just going back watching games from last year, Nebraska games, which is a great exercise. I think it's really important to remind yourself. He rewatched the Iowa game recently, and he's like, "Wow, that was a shit show." You know, like that stuff is really, really important. And so anyway, I realized I hadn't watched those guys, so I was like, I'm going to watch Hunter highlights and I'm going to watch Key highlights. And Jack, I am now insanely bullish on Dane Key. He is. It is better than Jamal Banks. First of all, he's doing it in a tougher conference. He is doing it in a tougher conference. This is inarguable. We cannot argue about this. SEC is better than the ACC, right? He did it at Kentucky. Jack, there is more athleticism there. There's more quick twitch stuff there. And some of the catches that he makes along the sidelines where he's battling is unlike what we saw. Like Jamal Banks, especially in hindsight, and maybe this is more of a hindsight thing, Jamal Banks' struggles were, you know, like or his successes were just kind of based on him being tall. You know, he used his size to his advantage. Dane Key uses athleticism to his advantage, which I like more than using just raw size to your advantage. He catches the ball, he makes guys miss, he runs after the catch, and he battles for receptions. Bullish. Insanely bullish. Everyone's doubting me right now. The look on your face.
Listen, we're just so tired of you being so positive about things. We want some realism once in a while. Could you please provide that?
Go watch it. Go watch this.
I feel like you were doing this but I think everybody's saying the same thing. They think you were doing this about Banks last year. And now that he's gone, now that, you know,
Mr. Banks. Hey, I love Mr. Banks. Don't put it on the internet that I don't love Mr. Banks.
I don't know.
By the way, Jamal Banks last year, as I pull up his stats real fast, because wow, he's on the Ravens roster going into camp. 587 yards, 44 catches, 13.3 yards per. Not great. He came into Nebraska with 653 yards in the previous year at Wake Forest under his belt on 59 catches, which is only 11.1 yards per reception. Dane Key had 715 yards in the SEC on 47 catches last year, Jack.
Okay.
It's a lot of yards. A lot of catches.
Okay.
Wow. Fight says Josh being hyped about a transfer wide receiver is the new schedule is so easy this year. This is unreal. This is absolutely
blindly positive, Josh. Man,
I cannot believe
this is what people hate.
Jack, that's why I watched the highlights. I wanted to put my 2 eyes on Dane Key again.
I don't even let my brain think like this because people hate when the media do this. They get you excited about.
You allow everyone to live rent free in your head about everything.
Josh, you're allowing me to live rent free in your head right now. I'm sort of doing a bit. I'm sort of doing a bit. I would think you could understand that, but
so sad. It's disgusting to see.
Your hat's disgusting to see.
That's your best argument for my positivity.
It's the most correct one. Josh. It's so bad. I'm trying to keep my eyes on your eyes. It's like keep your eyes down here, and I'm like, it's hard. What is that? Is that beige or is it gray? What is the color of that hat?
It's gray, Jack. What is going on beige with you? It's a great hat. I'm gonna wear this for every National Fun League pod that Shafe and I do this season.
Okay.
I think it's a great idea.
No, look, Josh, again, I have built in. This is the whole mind versus belief thing, right? Where you have a sort of a built-in fact checker or like accounting for what's happened before to protect yourself. And fans do this with everyone. Now, you are likely right. you are likely right, but if I would count him as a sure thing, it feels like that would be ignorant of history to do that.
Wow. What's happened to you? What has happened to you? How have you, of all people, been beaten down by this?
I think we just did a whole podcast series on that.
I guess that does help explain some of it.
I could doing that.
Venmo Chris, Josh, please don't do this to me again. I can't take the hype. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Matt says I'll buy the wide receiver hype, but I'm not buying the Emtt Johnson hype.
Which, that's fair to me.
But that, for me, is based on seeing him at Nebraska and looking at his stats. So that's what that's built on.
Yeah. D'Lo asks, how much better does Key need to be than Banks to result in an 8-win season?
That's a good question.
I don't know. I mean,
by the way, before you do that, what about Hunter?
I thought he was solid. If the comp to Key is Banks, then the comp to Hunter. Gosh, why can't I remember his name last year now? Nair. If the comp is him to him, well, Nair had come off of like 2 injuries over the previous couple seasons.
That was the thing.
I will say this, in defense of me or in defense of us, I don't think you and I ever were like ultra excited about Nair last year because we were more worried about him because of the injury situation, right?
Here's when it happened for me is I thought he looked really good in the spring game. And so that bumped up how I talked about him in the summer. Okay. But I don't know if you know this, no spring game this year.
There was not. Gosh, wow. People forget about the lack of a spring game this year. Yeah. So,
by the way, I didn't mention in sure things. I think much closer to a sure thing when I was talking about the defensive backfield. Jakory Barney, right?
Who said the other day that we haven't talked about Barney enough? Was it Dylan that mentioned that?
Probably Jakory Barney fan troll guy.
Well, that guy too. But I think Dylan said that in Las Vegas. And it was, Jack, it was a great point. We barely ever talk about him, and he brings back a lot of production, and the argument definitely could be made that he wasn't used properly in the offense last year, right?
But again, you asked the original question was, what do we know about this team? Player-wise, I think we know who the defensive backfield is. I think we know who Jakory Barney is. Yep. Across the offensive line, we know who several of the veterans are.
Yep.
And then in terms of in a full-time position. And then there's a bunch of guys that I think might have a huge ceiling they haven't reached yet, which is where the optimism comes from. It's the huge potential ceiling of course, Raiola, of course, Van Poppel, of McGahee, okay, of Heinrich Harburg, of all of the transfers. That's where the optimism comes from, but it's not a place of optimism from things that we have seen on a full-time basis in previous years. I know I'm a broken record at this point, but there are a few of them, and Jakory Barney is a good one. Again, Jakory Barney, the offensive line, the defensive backfield in particular, I think we kind of know what we're getting from them for the most part. But you're a little hesitant even on Barney, right? I don't know if I should compare last year.
Why are we hesitant on Barney?
Well, should I compare last year's Barney to the year before's Lloyd, or is that unfair?
That's Barney's fair.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I think that might be one reason that people would be a little skeptical, which may not be.
What do you think of this? Right. Husker from you says lots of catches for Barney, no explosiveness. You'd think he'd break at least one of those. I'm very skeptical of him, TBH. Well, 2 things off of that.
That's not how I think of him.
No, me neither.
Of him as like electric.
I would say this. Go rewatch the 2024 Colorado Be Kind Husker Rewind with us, because how many plays did he have in the second half? How many yards, Jack, did he have in the second half that he lost because of stupid-ass penalties? So, he had explosive plays.
Touchdowns.
that were called back. Here's my argument that I would say if you want to buy into Jakory Barney being a much better receiver than what his numbers showed, it was that they didn't get him the ball in proper situations, aka with space in front of him to use his advantages. I am banking on the offense and the play caller being better and that helping Barney more.
I know I've ruined this phrase now because of Anthony Grant, but
eye test.
But he hit the eye, he looked electric. He jumped off the screen to me. Yes. Jakory Barney did. So I would count him, if I'm ranking the positive sure things that make you he's definitely on that list toward the top. But there just aren't a lot of them. The other thing that's probably on most positive sure things on people's list is special teams will be better.
I was just going to mention that.
That's probably the other one in addition to the players that I mentioned that people feel like is a sure thing, just because it can't. There is a change, and you hate to say this, but there's no way it can be worse.
Jack, there is not a way it can be worse. And I know dangerous words have been said like that many times. They couldn't snap the ball sometimes. They couldn't hold the ball sometimes. They are going to be better at the most basic of things, and that will make the special teams better. How big of a jump ultimately are they going to have? Like, I can't answer that.
We don't know, but we feel like it's a sure. We're treating it as a sure thing, at least, that it will be better.
Mm-hmm.
That will be an improvement, and you factor that into your analysis. Now, still granted, is there anything else, Josh, that you feel like is a sure thing? We went through the personnel. Mm-hmm. We looked at and probably that the play calling will be better too.
That's what I was going to say. That was the only other one. It's that Holgorsen, you have him now for a full season, full off season. They're going to have a better play caller because he has been a really good play caller. Like, that is inarguable. The question then is, okay, but what is it going to mean? Like, I can't answer that question again either, but I do think they will have a better person in charge of
better
the
managed. Better man. Both of those will be better managed, is what I think we feel fair saying is a sure thing. So you got those two things. I think
that's the list.
That's the list. And there's just not a ton in terms of players. But again, it's also not like the cupboard is bare and everything is new. It's just that you've got people who have done it in small samples at Nebraska or in big samples away from Nebraska. Mm-hmm. And if those happen, right, if they bring over their production or potential or extend their partial contributions to Nebraska to a more full-time contribution, that's when you really take a jump next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what did we just name? Like 5 or 6 sure things? That leaves a lot of questions.
Yeah, I would say
leaves a lot of questions.
Most of the defensive backfield, those veterans in the defensive backfield, I can't think of any other defensive player. Can you? Like, just going through it in terms of Javen Wright. I mean, I think we definitely know what he is.
Yeah. But the defense, the excitement around the defense, and Jack, I said this. Who did I say this to this week? I said it to somebody. There has very much become maybe it was Michael. There's become like 2 camps with the defense. On one side, it is they don't have the veterans anymore, but the new players are way more athletic. And thus the defense won't take as big of a step back as some people think. And then the other side is obviously, oh my gosh, they don't have those veterans anymore. The defense is going to take a step back. I sense 2 camps.
Yeah,
I tend to be more to the second camp. I tend to lean more towards the defensive line, young guys. Like, that could be a concern. Like, that's where I lean. But then I talk to people like Severe, right? Of all the people that I talk to on a regular basis, Michael might know football better than anyone I know. That guy is really bullish on the defensive line, as he told us when we did the podcast with him a couple weeks ago.
That's all based on Van Poppel, though, right?
Well, but he likes Cam Lenhart on the defensive line as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, on all of these guys, I feel like I haven't seen enough in full-time action. Like, Cam Lenhart looked great at a very small time, and then, either didn't play or didn't get nearly as many tries, and that's all of them. Again, it's like, they're guys who you believe have a high ceiling, but they just haven't shown it to you. And then you've got the exact opposite things on the guys where you do know who they are. Singleton, Buford, Hartzog, Wright, really, especially those first 3 I said. And like, the ceiling on those guys isn't wildly high. Sierra Wright maybe, but the other 3, like, they're not going to be first team all conference players, barring something really surprising with those 3. Okay, like the quantities we do know are not superstars. They're good. They're solid. I mean, those guys. Is there a defensive backfield if those 3 guys would start that has as much playing time as any defensitive backfield in the nation? I mean, good Lord, Buford started in the Ireland game, right? Sierra Wright was, Hartzog his freshman year was making picks under. What year was that? Was that 2021? Maybe 2022? I mean, like, these guys have been here forever, those 3 guys. Singleton came in, I believe, was it a JUCO transfer? Yeah, that's why he's still here. But
Bigger Izzy says, didn't the actor only show up a couple weeks before the season started last year? I have to imagine he's got a higher set. I believe Jacket was like this time last year when Sierra Wright showed up.
He is one where you feel like he's proven, and there might be also even a higher ceiling as well, I think, for him. Yeah, I don't think people talk about how good his season was last year enough, to be honest.
Who? Sierra Wright?
LeBron's son.
I think people are excited about him. I think the reason that maybe there is like a tepid optimism and people aren't saying definitively he's going to be a dude is people were excited about like Tommy Hill going into last year and he struggled. Like, I wonder if Tommy Hill wasn't.
Oh, you're doing the Banks thing now. Now you're doing the Banks thing to me.
I'm saying that's what people are saying. I'm not saying that. Many are saying on many sides, Jack.
People are saying.
I think that's what it is.
Well, people were saying about the Banks thing.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Going. In all seriousness, I do think that that's what it is. Matt says, football season is here. We're talking about players. Jack has to be loving it. Wow.
But coaching
Manna from heaven.
But if you want to talk about the coaching side of it in terms of sure things, I think we identified the two. And I think the other thing I would add to that, Josh, is I think we trust Matt Rhule in coaching, being a head coach that also has good defenses.
I was just going to say the same thing.
That would be the other thing that I say is a sure thing.
There was a comment a few minutes ago from Husker for MU, almost to the point of trust Rhule on the defensive line. I was looking at
exactly.
I was looking at some K-Ford numbers the other day and there was a question about this probably like 45 minutes ago. So I'm going to see if I can help everybody out with this. It was, what have Matt Rhule's defenses done over the years? And so let me find Temple real fast. And so, Jack, we're gonna do a bit of a history lesson here. We're gonna go back in time. So his Temple defenses, and this is according to Kelly Ford, 2015. I can only go back to 2015, so I can't go further than that. 2015, they were ranked 24th. 2016, they were also ranked 24th. You look at his Baylor defenses, and I can give you all 3 years as I find it real fast. His Baylor defenses were ranked in 2017, 86, in 2018, 92nd, but then they broke through and they were ranked 11th in 2019. And then his 2 Nebraska defenses so far, like these are actually the best numbers yet as I pull them up, 6 and 14. I feel comfortable. I would say that. Of the things I feel comfortable in, I would say his defenses are usually really, really good. And he has his guy Phil Snow back.
Yes. Josh, he came. I mean, that was one of the things I heard from people who knew him better than I did when he came here is like the people who have followed his career is like one thing I trust about him is that he'll have a good defense, that he just will, particularly defensive line, but a defense in general. So I would say that is kind of close, it's close to a sure thing in terms of a reason for confidence, despite the other mitigating factors on the defense, which is some unproven players or some part-time players and a new defensive staff.
Yeah, I think the fun question is not will the defense be good, but it's what's the floor? How like what is the floor expectation of the defense, and then what's the ceiling of the defense as well? Like, can they be as good as they were 2 years ago? I mean, Jack, if they're as good as they were 2 years ago, you're cooking with gas with the 2025 season, right? Like the biggest difference that I noticed 24 or 23 to 24 was the tackling seemed to take a step back last year. Mm-hmm. Can the tackling get back to being what it was a couple of years ago? That's something that I wonder about. And Butler, being how much is he in charge versus how much is Phil Snow doing stuff? How much is Matt Rhule helping out on that side of the football?
Right. Now, the unknowns that are going to create the final story here are all of these guys on defenses we identified as potential high ceiling guys that we haven't seen yet, what they do, obviously, and then what the transfers, right, what they do and what Dylan Raiola does. That's a very obvious statement that I just made, but that's the variance, right? That's the floor and the ceiling that exists outside of the things that we know for sure.
Mm-hmm. Fight says there was very little pass rush last year. One of the through lines so far of the Matt Rhule era 2 years in is like really big boomer bust in terms of sacks. In 2023, they were 39th in the country. They had 32 sacks across 12 games. But when you go look at the game log, they had 8 versus Colorado. They had 8 versus Northwestern, which means they only had 16 in the other 10 games. And then if you look at last year, they ranked 44th. They had 30 sacks in 13 games. So pretty much like the same number per game. And look at some of these numbers, Jack. They had 6 versus Colorado. They had 5 versus Purdue. They had 4 versus Rutgers. That means they had 15 in 3 games, and they only had 15 in the other 10 games. So like they're either like 4, 5, 6 sacks or like 1.5 per game. Like they have to be a more consistent group on the defensive line getting to the quarterback. They have to be able to do that more.
Let me ask you this question that maybe is a fun kind of way to branch off of the discussion that we've had about the range of outcomes and the unknowns on the team. Of the unknowns, where is the highest ceiling?
Ooh, that's a tremendous question.
So let's whether it's individual whether it's individual players or whether it's a coaching or a unit or a concept, like where is the highest ceiling in your mind? Is it? I mean, I think. Well, obviously, in terms of the transfers, I think Key, you identified, that's probably maybe number one.
I think he's going to be good.
And I think Raiola as well, right? That the potential.
I was just going to say, is the answer offense, actually? Because the offensive side of the ball is a huge unknown. I mean, is there a world, Jack, where we're talking in November and we're like, Holgorsen did what we thought he could do with a lot of question marks, and he made them a whole lot better overall.
If everything goes well, what is going to be the biggest thing that goes well, I guess, is what I'm saying. And I feel like it's probably Raiola to Key in particular, and Emtt Johnson.
Jack, there is a world where we leave this season and say, oh, yeah, there's a reason that Dylan Raiola was ranked as the number one quarterback. That's possible. Yeah. I was at a Monolithic last night with Riss, and the TV was on one of the ESPN channels, and they were doing conference previews for the ACC, and they were showing Kade Clubnick's numbers, and pretty interesting, Jack, because a couple of years ago it was fine, and then last year he broke through in a huge way.
I was just reading out he was the number one PFF quarterback, Clubnick, and then I was like, man, he really has taken a jump in terms of the perception of him, because they put him in for Ungulu. Oh, you know who I mean.
DJ Uiagalelei.
Yeah, they put him in for him. I was like, well, they're bringing in this hot recruit, and he was like, well, he's fine. He's better than DJ. But
2023, he had 19 touchdowns, so more than Dylan. He had 9 interceptions, fewer than Dylan. He only averaged 6.3 yards per attempt and only completed 64% of his passes, 2,844 yards. Last year, Jack, 36-6 touchdown to INT ratio, 3,600 plus yards, 63.4% completion percentage. Like, is that the world that Nebraska could be living in? Jack, I mean, yeah. Sam said it to us a couple of weeks ago, like, quarterback, you got to up the touchdown numbers. I'm not going to call for a 36 touchdown season from Dylan, but if he could get that number into the upper 20s, that is a world where Nebraska is actually taking advantage of the schedule for the first time.
I like it. Painting the picture of what it looks like if some of the unknowns work. I'll tell you another one. You've got a few, I don't know how to quantify. I don't want to say all conference, but maybe all conference at some level would be Van Poppel, Trent Watson,
Watson Trent.
McGahee, Sierra Wright. All like Shavers. Those guys are all Shavers even. Yeah, Shavers too. Like those guys have, to me, I feel like I still consider them the highest ceiling. That's one thing that could work unbelievably well. And some of those guys could be all conference type players. The other one is just the offensive line transfer situation really works out.
Correct.
Right? Spindler and Pritchett come in there, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, we have anchors with experience, and Justin Evans has continued to grow. He might be another sure thing, by the way, specifically. I said the veterans on the offensive line.
Justin Evans.
He's switching positions, but like Lutovsky and Evans, we know who they are, right? We know who Gatula still has room to grow. Certainly he's young, but it's how Pritchett and Spindler, do Pritchett and Spindler joining those guys take it to another level? And that looks like, at the ceiling, it looks like the best offensive line Nebraska's had in a decade.
Well, along those lines, Jack, let's talk about Emtt Johnson once more because we love doing it. Dave asks, what is more likely, EJ at 1,000 rushing yards or EJ at 1,500 yards from scrimmage? Everybody responded so far in the Discord server says the latter. So they're saying 1,500 yards from scrimmage.
More as a receiver? Okay.
Yeah. So what is more likely to you?
Man, I don't know that I kind of see the change-up guys, especially now they're talking about Mosey as being more receivers out of the backfield. So I would say the former, but it looks like I'm in the minority. So
I was leaning that too. So, but now I'm like trying to correct myself. Like, am I an idiot for thinking 1,000 yards is more like? I mean, 1,500 yards is just a lot of yards, So I guess I'm taking this.
Yeah, he would have to do
like
both.
1,000 rushing is safer.
1,500 is like the better year. He's more
Jack,
of a dual. Yeah.
He gets 1,500 yards from scrimmage, Nebraska is winning 8 or 9 games. I mean, at least. At least they're winning 8 or 9. No, I'll say they're winning 9 games. If Emtt Johnson is 1,500-yard back, he's like a second-team or third-team all-conference guy. Probably second-team all-conference at the very least. Yes. And Nebraska's offense, dude, if he got that many yards from scrimmage, that means that everything is working well. He's one of the keys to the whole season.
Again, it's this range of players that could be a replacement level player at their floor or below, and all conference or one of the all conference teams at the top. There's a ton of guys in that group. And we could be wrong about their ceiling or their floor, but that's how I perceive it coming into the season. It's why I'm so excited about this season. Like it feels like there are more unknowns about this team than we've ever had. And that probably, like you said, is true about the entirety of the college football landscape, the way that rosters are churning.
Yeah. Jack, that was fun. Look at that. Players, lack of coaching talk. How great was this?
Love it.
How great was this?
Love it. Yeah. What's the what does the ceiling with Rhule and Jakory and Key and Barney, like Rhule and that group of wide receivers? What if they're all around their ceiling? What's
Holy
that
shit.
look like? Yeah, like think about that. Like, what's that look? What's it?
Mm-hmm.
What if you get like multiple of those factors on the offense being at their highest ceiling? What if Heinrich Harburg is like a really legitimate, or what's his name? God, I always forget. What's his name from Ainsworth? Carter Nelson. Like, I don't know what his situation is going to be, but
come back from the surgery that he had in the offseason.
But like, what if those guys? Nobody's really building in their expectations of the year. Like, whoa, Heinrich Harburg is like a really legit tight end option, or the things they can do with him, that kind of a thing. I think everybody's kind of thinking back to last year and the year before with the offense.
Yeah.
And that's why everyone is, we'll see.
Yeah. Cause they're afraid, right?
Yeah. You can't blame them.
Yeah. There you go. Saturday morning coffee show on this, Jack. I can't say penultimate. It's the last Saturday show of July. Next time that we do a show on a Saturday, it will be the month that football returns. Wow.
And there, it is the penultimate Saturday morning coffee show without some football games being played that day, because 2 weeks from now there will be NFL preseason games happening on that day.
Wow.
Which I know people get mad at me when I bring that up. I'm like, screw you. If there's football on, it's better than not being football.
John Bishop gets
more
so
football over
when
less
you mention
football.
It's not football.
I hate when people do that. It's better than it not having it on.
I know it's not football, but you know what? It's great background noise.
And it means it's getting closer.
Yeah, I can have football on my TV and look up occasionally and say, wow, football.
Also, do you not want to see Shedeur Sanders play for the Browns and see what happens? I mean,
great point.
Do you even have a heart? Like, I don't even understand. Do you have a beating heart? I don't get it. A beating football heart?
So, yeah, we'll have all that coming up throughout the month of August. A reminder, the Groin Kick Chronicles are moving into the top 10 on Thursday. We have 10 through 6 coming up. We have 5 through 1 coming up after that. What game will be number 1? Let us know what game you think is your number 1. I would love, Jack, as we get closer, maybe to get more people's top 10s or even top 5 if top 10 is too difficult to do, but your own personal hell. Certainly would love that as we get closer to the end of the Groin Kick Chronicles. So we'll have that coming up on Thursday. Also, speaking of the Chronicles, a bonus episode for subscribers only drops on Monday morning with Kevin Kugler. And he had a chance to call 2 games that were inside of the 20-11 group, including 2019 Iowa, which Jack said was in his top 5 or 10 at the very least. You had it very, very high up there.
2019 Iowa. Yeah, that was in.
Yeah.
Yes.
He also called the 2017 Northwestern game, which is famous for Bob Diaco talking about the strain. Can you see the strain? There's no reasonable reason to expect the defense to be whatever the hell he said. So we talked about those games and more. So that'll drop on Monday morning. We will have a Be Kind Husker Rewind edition of the Chronicles coming up on Wednesday as we rewatch the what game are we doing first, Jack? 2015 BYU, which is
we're watching one groin kick game from each era, from each sub era.
Yes, from each coach. Yeah, so we'll be doing that over the next month on Wednesdays. I think it's like every other Wednesday. No, it's every Wednesday. We'll start doing those, so we'll have that. I'm trying to remember, what else do we have, Jack? We all sorts of stuff. You and I are going to do an interview with like I don't want to say a random guy, but kind of different than what we normally do. That'll drop at the in the beginning of August as well.
And I guess the other thing that we are working on some exciting things for another relaunch week this year. We'll tell you more details about that. And then if you know volleyball fans, make sure that they are either just watching, at very least watching and listening to Volleyball State. Even better, subscribing to the Patreon, because they are making big plans. This AVCA thing.
Oh my!
These guys know everyone in the industry, right?
It's crazy.
Everyone, and so their coverage on the AVCA thing through the I-80 Club, I would put up against any like any coverage of any sport, to be honest. Like it's going to be so complete, so good. I don't know. We're still kind of working with them on the strategy of what will be public, what will be, what they're going to be able to do. They're going to, it's going to be very in depth. And if you're a Husker volleyball fan, casual on up to serious, it will be absolutely can't miss. And the whole event is just so unique, Josh. I mean, imagine bringing a preseason event with like basketball, probably the best comp, with essentially like the top 8 teams all coming into one city to play each other and all their fan bases.
Yeah.
It's second maybe only to the Final Four, and it's all in Lincoln. Well, it's in Lincoln and Sioux Falls, but mainly
we keep saying it. There is no podcast or writer or anyone that does better coverage than those two, and they're going to be doing more this season than they have ever done before, which we're excited to be along for the ride with both Lincoln and Jeff. So we'll have that coming up once the season begins. Matt says, when will the football show be a weekly show? That is going to start the Thursday before week 0. So August 21st is when that will become a weekly feature inside of the I-80 Club.
Did you mention there's a board meeting coming up too, right?
And there's a board meeting on Monday night with our board members. Yeah,
it will be eventful.
Yeah. Hey, I'd say this. We every 5-6 months, Jack. We mention if you've been a longtime subscriber to the club, we set the cap. Oh yeah. Or the floor rather. We say, hey, if you've been with us for 6 months and you're interested in it, let us know. We do one monthly bonus podcast just for board members. It's been originally kind of started out as like, hey, we'll tell Scott Frost stories. And now it's a lot of, hey, here's what we have coming up inside of the I-80 Club. And you get some other features as well. But
there's legitimately a leadership role that's kind of within it that we rely on. So
yep. If you're interested, slide into our DMs. I think you have to kind of add us as a friend on Discord so then we can get messages. But just let us know, tag us, whatever, and we can reach out to you and have those conversations.
And it's pending approval of the board itself too. The board gets that as well. So
yep.
There you go.
All right. I think that's everything. All right. He's Jack Mitchell. I'm Josh Peterson. Thanks for joining us. If you are hanging out with us free, we do this each and every Saturday. 1 month from now, it'll be football season. It's going to be glorious. Patreon.com/I-80 Club. If you'd like more episodes, more access, Discord server, all that stuff is available. Details at patreon.com/I-80 Club. At the very least, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and hook us up with a 5-star review and rating on Apple Podcasts. It helps people find it. We know that people have been discovering more that we have been doing lately, and we very much appreciate it. For Jack, I'm Josh. We will talk to you on Monday with a bonus episode of the Chronicles, and then Wednesday night as well